Hey guys, welcome to the Manchester United News channel. Subscribe to the channel to not miss any news, leave your like, and share, you are very important for the growth of the channel. Let's go to the video.
Big occasion here at the Emirates today, and let's start off, Gary, with a big story that broke today that I know you have a big opinion on. The Glazers not selling Manchester United. Where do you stand on that report?
I just can't believe that it's true, and I think it's part of the game playing that they've been sort of, if you like, manipulating the stories for quite a long time now. I just don't see any way in which they can keep hold of the club in its entirety. Obviously, I say its entirety, they own 70%, the New York Stock Exchange is 30%, because they've got no money. Everybody who sort of has a little bit of knowledge about the sort of financial situation within the club, it's desperate. You know, they keep putting it down to FFP, they keep saying that they can't bring players on board and stuff like that. They have obviously spent money and invested money this summer, but they have to bring money in, and that will either be through a dilution, some sort of extra debt on the actual business, which is no one can imagine because of the debt that's already on the business, or they sell. And I still think the most likely route is that they sell and that they're trying to basically bump the price up, which is a classic negotiation tactic of many. They don't panic, so they stand strong, they don't rush. They're knowledgeable business people and know that the more that they sort of, if you like, prolong this process, they might get an extra quid out of it or two. Obviously it'll be some money that, you know, extra money that they want. So, you know, I don't believe that story this morning. I can't believe it to be true because they need money desperately into the club.
Now, on the football itself, because huge game here, Saka and Martinelli had so much success against United last season in terms of isolating the fullbacks and winning their 1v1s. Do you expect similar today, especially with Luke Shaw out?
The thing is, United don't tend to change. Erik Ten Hag doesn't tend to change. He doesn't go all of a sudden really defensive and start to play a different system. He plays the same way. I mean, it was a brilliant game here last season. I think both teams were going at each other. And I didn't have a problem with the way United approached this game last year. I think I would always say, for me, being a United fan, if they go for it and have a right go and they give it, you know, you can lose here in any season. We used to lose games here when we played well at times, and used to lose games here well when they used to beat us up. So I think today the most important thing is performance from United. Most important thing for Arsenal is performance, because they've picked up 6 and 7 points, which isn't a bad tally out of their first 3 games, but the performance levels have been below, both of them, where they'd like to be. So for me today it's about intent. If I'm looking at United, it's about intent. If I'm looking at Arsenal, I have to say that the Partey injury that we've sort of seen emerge in the last 24 hours, I actually think it's a result for Mikel Arteta that he can go back to a more traditional back four with defenders in it. I actually think that would have been a big thing for United today. If Partey was right back, it would have given him a real chance, or more of a chance.
Interesting there that you said both teams haven't been anywhere near the standards that they will have set for themselves. United's midfield, has it concerned you how much work Casemiro has been left isolated to do? Oh
yeah, I mean, it's been obvious. It was actually obvious in pre-season. What they tried to do in pre-season was bring Dalot from right back into midfield alongside him to make it work, to make it sort of more solid. That didn't work. Then they tried Luke Shaw, I think, in the first game of the season against Wolves. That half an hour was a disaster because it mainly took away United's attacking threat with Luke Shaw on the left-hand side. Then they've tried different things since then. They tried Mount a bit further back against Tottenham. That didn't work. They got pulled apart eventually by Tottenham's midfield and got destroyed. So for me, there is a problem in there. There is definitely a balance problem in there that was there last season, where they had to go back to Fred and to McTominay at times. So obviously the signing of Amrabat is a big one, in that, no, is he the best defensive midfield player in the world? No, but what he is, he's an experienced player who will get on the ball, but also will be alongside Casemiro, which will just naturally mean there's 2 bodies in there. In a position they play, rather than obviously asking Mount to go back in there, or Fernandes or Eriksen, and they don't play that role. And one thing Erik Ten Hag is not going to give up on is the fact that he wants technically gifted players in the team. So he's not going to go back to what would be a destroyer alongside Casemiro. So look, let's see what happens today. I think that it'll be, if as a United fan, I'd take a point all day long here today, I'll be honest with you, because I think that they're not in good enough form. They've played really poorly, I think, in all the games that they've played this season in the Premier League. Notts Forest, they were lucky. Wolves, they were very lucky. And Tottenham, they got beat. So today, they'll need a big step up in performance if they're going to get anything out of this game.
Just 1 goal contributed from the attacking players out of 41 shots. So while we've spoken about the midfield, they're not really lighting up in terms of the final third and creating goal-scoring chances that you bank them to score. Højlund set for his debut today. Early word is that he will be on the bench.
Yeah, I thought that.
Is he enough of a difference maker to what they need?
Well, you wake up this morning, and obviously I've been thinking about the game for the last 2 days, but you seriously start to think about it on the day of the game. And I said this a couple of weeks ago, it's such a huge amount of pressure to place upon this young lad. Obviously he's a big signing, obviously he's a big price tag. But I think it feels very unfair that this lad's coming in now and he's the answer. He's got to be the answer. And if he isn't the answer, then obviously he's going to get a level of criticism. When really, if you're in a successful club, they would bring that player in. It's not like he's a Haaland who's obviously a little bit sort of been round the block. This lad's now going to be expected to come in and hit the ground running. And I think that's unfair, personally. I think that the reality of it is maybe opposition fans watching me will say, it's ridiculous what you're saying, you're being biased, it's £70 million signing, of course he should be able to. I don't see him as being a £70 million signing, they paid that for him, but I see him as being a player who'll grow and get better. Look, if he hits the ground running, great, but there's a lot of pressure on that kid to be the answer to Manchester United's problems up front, and actually a large part of their success this season depends upon whether he actually, to be fair, does hit that ground running, and that feels quite a vulnerable situation to be in. At the moment, I'm a little bit glass half full on United in respect of actually achieving what they achieved last year, which is obviously winning a trophy and finishing third. I'm a little bit worried about that as I see the performance levels at the start of this season. But it's very early, long way to go. Højlund's got to come in. It'll push Rashford back out to the left, which is what he needs. And also, to be fair, you've got to think they'll be better in midfield with Amrabat in there.
Yeah, we've mentioned 2 new signings there. Have you reminded Roy Keane of his Reguilon opinion yet?
I haven't, but to be fair, I sort of half agree with him. I mean, look, I was a full-back, and if you're looking for the qualities that I would expect in a full-back, for me, Reguilon is he's a stopgap to get past the injury of Luke Shaw. He's someone who's just been brought in. They were scrambling around a little bit trying to get left-backs in with the last 3-4 days of the season to go, and for the window to go, and they got one. So you have to say that's a success in some levels. But is he, for me, a fullback that I would trust in a game like this? Manchester United picked up 1 point out of a possible 27, was it, last year against the top 8-9 teams, something like that. I don't think he's the type
1 out of 24.
1 out of 24 against the top 9 teams. So you're talking about Reguilon being the difference to be able to stop that. He isn't. I don't think he's that robust and resilient as a fullback when you're under pressure. So he's decent on the ball. Obviously, most fullbacks are nowadays, but I just don't think he's a long-term position for United. It's obviously just been brought in to cover for Luke Shaw, and I've not reminded Roy Keane, but I'm actually on the same page as him, to be honest with you.
You wouldn't be surprised then that Dalot is set to start at left back, especially given the challenge today of Martinelli and Saka.
I didn't think Reguilon would start today. Dalot, he can fill in there. It's not ideal for him. Look, Saka and Martinelli are 2 of the best when they're on form. They're electric. And if they play well, it'll be a tough old day for United. The way United play is man-to-man, one-on-one duels. And the problem is, Arsenal have got some fantastic players one-on-one, and they've got players in midfield who can deliver and pass. So, look, this is going to be an exceptional game. I'm really looking forward to it. Both teams are going to have to step up a level. Both teams are going to have to get better. It's still early in the season, but if Arsenal want to win the league, which is what they have their aspirations to do with the investment they've made, and United want to do what they did last season, they're going to have to improve quickly.
Do you want to call it?
Look, my head is saying that Arsenal win this game all day today.
Comfortably?
Yeah, I think it is comfortable, but my heart, by the way, which is a big part of football, says that United, I've got to be optimistic. I'm a United fan because you always have to go into the game thinking you're going to win, always, and something can happen in football.
There you go. You can either agree with Gary's heart later or laugh at it.
Yeah.
The heart wants what it wants, though.
Yeah.
Thank you all for watching. Subscribe to the channel to not miss anything. Leave your like and your comment, that is very important for the channel growth. Until the next video.